Well, I went 6-0 last week, which is the first time it's ever happened in my history of the channel. Can I do it again? We'll find out. But what's going on, guys? My name is Antonio, and this is the All Around Sports, AAS for short. I am your host, Antonio. Today, I am going over my weekly predictions of this week's Divisional round. It is do or die mode for each of these teams. And, whoo, things are getting cooking. My gosh, it is getting crazy. So, I'm going over each prediction that I have and why. I'm going to be going over which teams I can see winning. So, excuse me. Let's get this thing started. But before I do, I want to mention two things. First off, I am a Seahawks fan, as you can see circled right here. But I have mass respect for each of these teams that are in this playoff race. And this is by far the most interesting playoff we have seen to date. But and also before we get started, if you guys do enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new. Turn on the notification bell. For now, let's get this thing started. So, oh man, first matchup of the week. You got CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans going on the road to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Wow. Both these teams, Ravens coming off their bye week, having the rest advantage. These two teams met before in the week one rematch, in the week one matchup, but CJ Stroud wasn't looking as good as we've seen him now. So, and then meanwhile, the Texans, they just demolished the Cleveland Browns, which looked like the best defense in the NFL for a few weeks of the Cleveland Browns. And then CJ Stroud was just tearing up their defense. I mean, he was tearing them apart. And this is probably, I do believe this is going to be close. I was originally going to go with Baltimore on this. I was originally going for it. But you know what? There has to be an upset here. And just because the way this Texans team has been playing, I am going with the Texans to pull the upset. You all might be asking why. Lamar Jackson in the playoffs is 1-3. 1 win, 3 losses in the playoffs. Until he proves things otherwise, I have the Texans because Stroud just reads out those defensive plays. He did it last week against the Cleveland Browns. And they're on the same level as Baltimore. I mean, seriously. This Stroud kid is just so impressive that he can read out the defenses and completely change the play. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So, for that reason, I am going to give the edge to the Texans, but I would not be surprised if the Ravens do come out with this win. And then, you got a Saturday night evening throwdown between the Green Bay Packers facing the San Francisco 49ers again. Who would have thought these two teams would have met in the first place? Of course I did, because I had all 6 of my picks right last week. So, man, the Packers coming off a big blowout of the Dallas Cowboys, as we all saw, showing them for the frauds they are. And then, meanwhile, the 49ers coming off of 2 weeks of resting their starters in the Week 18 loss to the Rams. And now that you got this team going on the road to face the 49ers that have looked really good all year. Remember, when Aaron Rodgers was in there, they were 4-0 against the Packers. So, but this is a whole different era. New quarterbacks for both sides. Some defensive keys still with these sides. Not a lot has changed with these both teams since their last playoff appearance, matching up, going head to head. But this is going to be an interesting game. And this is going to say a lot about both teams. If the Niners can actually be that team, or if the Packers can actually beat a very tough opponent. But I am going to give the edge to the 49ers because the Niners are at home. The Packer fans might travel to Santa Clara, but the Niners have proven that they can be the team. Like they say, you got to beat the man to be the man. And I think the Niners do this, and we'll see what happens this upcoming week for this game. And then you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going on the road to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. Tampa Bay pulling off a surpriser last week. Of course, not to me or any other Eagles fan that would agree with me more. Because Baker Mayfield, he showed up in that game. And meanwhile, watching the Cleveland Browns get absolutely demolished, which maybe might have regretted that trade a little bit. I'm just saying. But this game is going to be insane. The Lions coming off of a playoff drought that they just ended for the first time in over 30 years. Man, I've had much mass respect for the Detroit Lions as a fan of the Seahawks. We faced them this season and, of course, beat them. But this Lions team is looking great. They are looking dangerous. They are looking ferocious. They are just on a whole nother level. I mean, you just don't know with this team. And you probably have the fastest route to an NFC Championship game going against the Rams last week, which this team proved that they are not looking at being at the bottom any longer. They're looking for a Super Bowl. They are looking for it. And I am going to give the edge to the Lions here. The Lions are at home. They are in Ford Field, which, depending on what happens next week, they'll either be in Santa Clara or hosting the Green Bay Packers. Who knows what we can see. And then you got the rivalry renewed as the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes could prepare to go on the road on Sunday Night Football against Josh Allen and the Bills. Woo-hoo-hoo! This game is going to be fly. My goodness. This game is going to be so good. Oh my gosh. But first, Kansas City beating up the Miami Dolphins in their home game against them in below negative weather. This team proved that they could be the team that they were last year, but they haven't. They dropped passes all season long. Meanwhile, you got the Bills on the other side, which they're hosting Mahomes in his first road game. That is going to be interesting, if you ask me. But the Bills, this Bills team has changed so much since their loss to the Denver Broncos. They were just on a fall. They were looking like they weren't going to make the playoffs. But then all of a sudden, this Bills team that we see right now showed up. Joe Barry has been sensational with this team. I mean, not Joe Barry. Joe Brady with this team. This offensive coordinator of theirs, he has looked so dang good with this Bills offense. They are running the ball more to James Cook, and they are also doing more things on the passing game, which Josh Allen ran for the second longest touchdown run by a quarterback, which that is impressive in my mind. That is way beyond impressive. But my gut is telling me to go with Kansas City, but you know what? I am going to give the edge to Buffalo. If there's any team that Buffalo wants to knock off, it is Kansas City. And they are going to come into this game. Their fans are going to be there. And this is going to be a crazy, crazy game. Because Mahomes' first road game in the playoffs, and the Bills are hosting the Chiefs for the first time in the playoffs. This is going to be interesting, and depending on what happens in the Texans and Ravens game, they are either going to go to Baltimore or they're going to host Texans, which either one would be interesting, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. But 6-0 was my record last week. Maybe I might be perfect again. Who knows? But anyways, that's my topic for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new. Turn on the notification bell. And I'll catch you all in the next one. So long for now.